Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to day 159 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. We live in a culture that is pervaded by entertainment. We watch Netflix constantly, we watch sports constantly. If our time is not either work or filled with entertainment, we almost don't know what to do with ourselves. And what has happened is a lot of people look to religion and the spiritual life as a form of entertainment, and when it doesn't fulfill that entertainment mode, a lot of people will quit it and look for the next form of entertainment, either through a different faith or some kind of other spiritual practice. So that is what we're going to talk about today in Notebook 2, numbers 731 through 735. On the initial day of the retreat, I was visited by one of the sisters who had come to make her perpetual vows. She confided to me that she had no trust in God and became discouraged at every little thing. I answered her, "It is well that you have told me this, sister. I will pray for you." And I spoke a few words to her about how much distrust hurts the Lord Jesus, especially distrust on the part of a chosen soul. She told me that, beginning with her perpetual vows, she would practice trust. Now I know that even some souls that are chosen and well advanced in the religious life or the spiritual life do not have the courage to entrust themselves completely to God. And this is so because few souls know the unfathomable mercy of God and His great goodness. The great majesty of God which pervaded me today and still pervades me awoke in me a great fear, but a fear filled with respect, and not the fear of a slave, which is quite different from the fear of respect. This fear, animated by respect, arose in my heart today because of love and the knowledge of the greatness of God, and that is a great joy to the soul. The soul trembles before the smallest offense against God, but that does not trouble or darken its happiness. There, where love is in charge, all is well. It sometimes happens, while I am listening to the meditation, that one word puts me in very close union with the Lord, and I no longer know what Father is saying. I know that I am close to the most merciful heart of Jesus. My whole spirit is entirely plunged in Him, and in one moment I learn more than during long hours of intellectual inquiry and meditation. These are sudden lights which permit me to know things as God sees them regarding matters of both the interior and the exterior world. I see that Jesus Himself is acting in my soul during this retreat, and as for me, I try only to be faithful to His grace. I have submitted my soul completely to the influence of God. This mighty ruler of heaven has taken entire possession of my soul. I feel that I am being lifted up above earth and heaven into the inner life of God, where I come to know the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, but always in the unity of majesty. I will enclose myself in the chalice of Jesus so that I may comfort Him continually. I will do everything within my power to save souls, and I will do it through prayer and suffering. I try always to be a Bethany for Jesus, so that He may rest here after all His labors. In Holy Communion, my union with Jesus is so intimate and incomprehensible that even if I wanted to describe it in writing, I could not do so because I lacked the words. Years ago, my best friend was invited to attend a megachurch by another friend. And this was at a point in her journey with Catholicism where she was just really starting to learn and understand the faith. So she recognizes now that she probably should not have gone there. But at that time, she was still learning and didn't quite understand why it wasn't okay to go to a megachurch when you're Catholic. So anyway, this friend invited her, and so her family went, and she was telling me about it afterwards. And it was this enormous complex with like a campus. And there was parking lots, and there was golf carts to pick people up from their cars and bring them to the building, this huge building. And inside there was like a coffee bar and a kids, play area and a gift shop, bookstore type of thing, places to sit and lounge and everything. And then when they walked into the place where worship was supposed to happen, it was just like a big theater, like a big modern theater with like stadium seating and a big stage. And she was telling me all about it, how there was like light shows and fog and smoke and electric guitars. And she was super uncomfortable. Both her and her husband were like, gosh, I probably should not have come to this. And so she was telling me about it, and she's like, gosh, it just really felt like the only reason people came is because they were being entertained. People could bring their coffee in to sit down and listen to the pastor talk. There was nothing really super worshipful. It was just more like a TED talk. And so she's like, I just didn't feel like we were at church. She's like, I just felt like I was at like an inspirational talk. And I can totally relate to that. I attended one church that was very similar to that. Not quite as huge, but really, if you wouldn't have told me I was there for church, I would have had no idea. And so reading through Sister Faustina's diary today, there are a couple things that stood out to me. One is that she's visited by this sister who's talking about how she has no trust in God and she's becoming very discouraged. And Sister Faustina says, I'm glad that you told me this, and I'll pray about this for you. And she spoke to her about, how this trust displeases the Lord, because he wants us to trust in him and understand that things might not always go how we want them to go, but he will work it out for, our benefit or the benefit of others as well. And then she talks about how the majesty of God was pervading her. She just wasn't like feeling God near her, in her. And she said, it still pervades me. And she woke up with a great fear. That was a fear of respect. And then she moves into talking about how she was listening to this meditation, and there was one word that put her in close union with God, and that she wasn't even really understanding what the Father who was giving this meditation was saying. She was just kind of enraptured in God and thinking about him. And then she says, these are sudden lights which permit me to know things as God sees them. And the key word there for me was sudden lights. And I think sometimes what we try to do with our religious and spiritual life is make it a high peak, high entertainment type of thing. We want to really just feel it all the time and just be in this constant state of, wow, whoa, this is amazing. Wow, this is so cool, and just got all these things going on, and I just really feel like I'm getting into it, and I'm totally entertained, I'm totally engaged because this is fun and this is cool. And I feel like that's how a lot of our churches are going, is just a form of entertainment. But what we see here with Sister Faustina today is sometimes you get discouraged. I mean, a lot of the times you get discouraged in life and you're just not feeling things. I mean, this sister who came to her is like, I am struggling to trust in God and I'm getting discouraged at everything. That's a reality of our faith life. It just happens that way sometimes. And then sometimes God's presence pervades us. We're just not always going to be at 100% pitch constantly. And we're just going to have days where we're not feeling it. God's presence just seems to be not with us at that time. And so we're not going to have that awe-inspiring moment all the time. And then when she says the sudden lights which permit me to know things, these things just kind of happen suddenly and kind of infrequently, that we have those truly whoa moments where we're just like take your breath away type of moments. But I think that's what a lot of people are looking for in their spiritual life constantly. And when they don't find it, they give up on it because, well, I'm not feeling it, so it requires a lot of work. And, it should be thoroughly exciting and astounding all the time. And right now I'm just feeling discouraged and a little blah and a little meh. And so, maybe this isn't it, because if this was the place, then I would just be feeling it all the time. So maybe I should go over here and try something new. But with our religious life and our spiritual life, we are not to be entertained. This is not about entertainment. This isn't where we just sit back and let somebody else take over and entertain us. No, the religious life and spiritual life requires our cooperation. It requires effort. It requires a yes to God every day to get up, love Him, love His children that are put into our lives, the people around us, our neighbors, and to press on even when it's not feeling super great and we're unsure of what's going on and we feel kind of lost in the dark. The answer is to keep going. Religion is not about keeping us entertained with music and dance and electric guitars and coffee and all this stuff. No, this is deep matters of the soul. This is not surface level, keep you entertained for an hour or two and then send you home. No, we have to think about our faith life in an utterly different way. And entertainment is not on the list. It shouldn't be on the list at all. We are not in relationship with God in order to be entertained. And it's one of my pet peeves. It really is. And I know a lot of people, may say, well, there's nothing wrong with having good music at church and, community at church. Absolutely. I love good music. I am a very musical person, love good music. I love community. I love, good moments with people, relishing those times. But that is not the number one priority of our faith life. The number one priority of our faith life is to commune with Christ in the Eucharist and to offer Him worship and praise. And so that is what needs to be our main focus. That is all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I will see you back here for day 160. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.